We are talking Miami football for the next hour with you and with the Wholesome One. Check out his YouTube channel, the Wholesome One, HOLSUM, and the number one right here on YouTube. So Miami football talk here for the next hour. Please like the video. Before you do anything, think about it, like the video, share it out there on social media. And my thought process there is that if you like it, other people will too. So share the videos out on social media and, of course, subscribe. Wholesome One, how's it going today?
It's going great. It's going great. It's always good to take it one day at a time and talk about those Canes. I'm excited to do it here on MarkRogersTV.
All right. We will certainly take your comments, your questions, your debate topics, everything that you've got on Miami football as we filter through the live chat. Yeah, I did have Uncle Lou on at noon, and he was talking a little Miami football.
Why?
What's that?
Why?
Yes. Well, we were talking a little Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, all of Georgia's rivals. Miami came up because well, I find it interesting, and I understand both sides of the debate, but this seems to come up from Miami fans, at least that are on my channel, and kind of downplaying Georgia's status in college football because of the 0 national championship since 1980. And the Georgia fans have their bragging rights. The Miami fans have their bragging rights. I simply moderate the fights.
I mean, he seems to have something to say about us every year. I don't understand. But, I mean, either way, Georgia's program is on a completely different level. I mean, I don't really think there's much to debate about it. I mean, Georgia and Miami, it's not really much of a, if the roles were reversed, I know I wouldn't have anything to say about a program that's lower than mine, but whatever.
Yeah, you can take it in two different perspectives, whether you're saying, okay, right now, and Georgia is a better football program and until things change, or if they change right this second. But when you look at it historically, then I think it's certainly a debate, and Miami's got the national championships on their side.
I mean, absolutely, but that is where we can, and this is what we're trying to push out of the fan base. Like, yes, we understand our success in the past, but if you were to take Georgia's last 10 years, Miami would dream of having that type of program, those type of recruiting classes, being in those type of games. Now, yes, we have not, and they have not won the big games, but it takes a great team to even be there. I mean, I remember watching them play OU, and OU comes out and hits them in the mouth, and then the way that they responded as a team and beat this high-powered team running the football, man, come on. 2 offensive tackles taken in the first round. It's just both backs taken in the first round from that team. I believe both. I know one was definitely a first rounder, and I think Chubb Rock was like a second rounder. But Sony Michel was first round to the Patriots. But no, man, I will be the one to tell you, Miami fans, we're not there. Okay, their program is really good. Have they gotten over the hump? No, but you got to have a great program all the way through facilities, strength and conditioning, nutrition, staff, players, to be in those type of games. It was just in the national championship a couple of years ago. It's not really much up for debate at this point. We can't beat Duke consistently. So,
And this is what everybody is talking about in the live chat. I can't get to anything else in the live chat. So this is a perfect opportunity for you folks that sometimes leave a comment or question and we don't get the opportunity to get to it because we're analyzing and running through different personnel groupings or whatever the news of the day is in particular. If we don't get to your comment or question, this is the perfect day to leave your comment or question. We have, over the last couple of weeks, reviewed personnel groupings. We went through the 2021 recruiting class that included, 23 signees. The Wholesome One ran them all down. So I'm going to have to come up with my own. I should have been prepared to come up with my own litany of questions for the wholesome one here. All right, we are about 3 weeks away from spring practice, correct?
Yep.
We are 3 weeks away.
I think it's March 13th. As Cam would say, I think it's Michigan Day. 3-1.
Yeah, it's Michigan Day. That's what he said.
Yeah, I think that's how he says it.
That's it. So, and then there's about a month there. There's going to be a spring game, correct? Or we don't know yet?
We don't know that far. At least there's talks of having one. We just don't know where it is. And one of the other things is, I don't know if you know this, Mark, but we pushed our practices back a month. And Coach Diaz said that he felt like our players' bodies, they need to get more developed in the weight room. So he took the time that we would be on the football field right now and pushed it back 3.5 weeks or so, almost a month. Now we're still lifting. He was unsatisfied with how our players were looking coming out of it and felt like we need more time pushing as far away from quarantine as we did when it comes to the conditioning and the strength and really reshaping bodies. He wants Coach Dave Feely and his staff to get another 3 weeks. And, you know, that may be something minor to people, but when you're in these programs and you can really look at a player and see he may not be ready yet. We want to give him another chance to really get that body in shape before we put the helmet and pads on. Because, Mark, as long as we've studied the game, you know, once we put those pads on, you're going to lose a lot of that workout weight for the most part. You're going to be running around with the helmet, shoulder pads on, and now you're focused on the aspect of football as opposed to just getting in the absolute best shape that you humanly possibly can. So to have a coach that's now growing on our sideline and understanding, there's just little things, you know, maybe it's not an edge for wins later on down the line, but it's showing that he's in tune with his staff. He's in tune with his strength and conditioning staff, and being able to give the young men some more time in the weight room, man. I really like it, obviously.
Ronan showing up, of course, in the super chat here. We appreciate the contribution, Ronan. You know that. Going to start a petition to get Coach Holsom more camera time on the North Dakota State sidelines. Everyone head on over and support Mark on Patreon, 16 cents a day. Keep up the great work, guys. Go Canes. Yeah, you can hang out with Ronan. You got George. You got all sorts of
I appreciate
good people over there.
But I'm actually pretty happy where I am up in the booth, man. But we'll see this upcoming fall. Maybe some changes happening, and, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Also, when I saw a list on 247 Sports this week, and that is typically a pretty respectable outfit, that listed Manny Diaz as the best head coach in Florida as a recruiter. It listed the head coaches in Florida, went all through the Power 5, 3, Florida State, Miami, into UCF, FIU, FAU, and there were 7 total schools, South Florida included, of course, and their rating was that Manny Diaz was the best recruiter, above Gus Malzahn, above Mike Norvell, above Dan Mullen individually, or I don't know if they were rating his ability to put together a staff that could recruit better than anybody else, but had him at the top of the Sunshine State.
I think that's a great thing to have, honestly. And I think it may be true because if you look at Coach Norvell, he's coming from a small school where they really recruited 2 and 3 stars, and it was based on their schemes and systems. Okay, they put them at Memphis. They put you out in open space and tell you to shreds. They played a really good defense to where it was kind of like a 4-2-5 nickel majority of the time. So it was kind of based on the schemes and the coaching because you weren't going to get the big 4 or 5-star players out of Memphis. Okay, you look at Coach. What's the Florida's head coach? Why do I always do this?
Norvell?
No, that's Tallahassee. Florida.
Mullen.
Dan
Mullen.
Now, Dan Mullen, this man's football IQ. Good God. Yes, bringing in the players is one thing, but the way that he can scheme and coach up and truly build. He was on my short list of bringing to Miami, but you know how Miami fans are. He's a Gator. We don't want him here. Our program would be in so much better shape. This guy went to Mississippi State and built something. a lot of respect goes to Mullen for me. I think he's one of the best coaches in college football right now, as far as X's and O's, grease board, how to build something from the ground up, tearing it down and rebuilding it. He's big time. And that now, if he can go get him a real defensive coordinator, then you might see a different thing up there in Gainesville. But he's not really a recruiter. He doesn't really have a lot of recruiters on his staff. He wants to have the best program, and it kind of recruits itself. All right. Coach Manny Diaz, we got a bunch of recruiters, you know. And the last couple of years, we just didn't have either. You know, offensively, we got developers and recruiters. Defensively, we're just living off of the Manny Diaz history and what we did on that side of the ball the last couple of years. Because now we're bringing in a T-Rob. Now you bring in, you had T-Will for a little bit, but you bring in Coach Jess Simpson. Those are big-time recruiters. And then Coach Ishmael that we just brought in right now is pretty good, and his player personnel. So that type of stuff is big time. And who else did you talk about? Gus Malzahn. Well, Gus just got there. And when Gus was at, Coach Malzahn, when he was at Auburn, you know, they, yet again, 3-star, maybe 4-star, but that's it with that. Oh,
yeah, when I first saw, what did you see? What do we have here?
I'm just reading this about, I don't want to, we only have an hour to really talk Canes football, and then we go off for a little bit. You know, the chat just takes it and runs with it. You spend I remember listening to you and Cam. You guys are talking like 40 minutes on music. It's like once you add a little thing in there and it just takes off.
We took off.
But it is the off season, so it's all good. Listen, Ronan, I understand. But I want you to take a step back and understand that when these coaches get in front of that presser, good or bad, it takes a certain type of person to go through what they go through for over an hour. And then 5 minutes from that, got to go to the locker room and address their players, angry, pissed off, flip tables, whatever they doing in that locker room. And then go out and answer questions in front of a whole bunch of non-football people talking to you about your job. Okay, it's not the easiest thing to do, and I've watched it on both sides, wins and losses, and it takes a certain special person to be able to endure that. Yes, Coach Dan Mullen has a couple of issues, you know, every year with some crazy stuff that he says, but at the end of the day, that's the type of coach you want at Miami, an a-hole. Okay, because you literally have to be that to the rest of college football because, let's be honest, they don't want to see you have success. All right, now I'm not saying fire Coach Diaz and bring me Dan Mullen right now. No, that's not what I'm saying. Coach Diaz he's growing on our sideline, and it's nice to last year the conversation has changed. Every offseason he gets better. I just want to see offseason Manny turn into in-season Coach Diaz. That's what I want to see. So I'm not really here to argue Dan Mullen to Miami, but I think he is he's a top 5 coach, top 6, 7 coach in college football.
Yeah, I've often found it interesting and would love to know to talk to these coaches face to face and get their honest, unfiltered take once they get out of these media sessions, because there are some media people that ask some reasonable questions that know what they're talking about and know that they don't know certain things of what they're talking about and why they ask the questions. But there's a whole lot of questions that are just ridiculous, and they got to be thinking, really, do I stand in front of these people that don't know football and they question me and question all these moves that I make and question the game plan and question the preparation, especially when it doesn't go well? Then it's obviously, when I say obviously wrong, then it's fair game to just completely criticize and bash. If the play call doesn't work, then it was a bad play call.
And you know that it's tough because you spend time in these film rooms things. And one of the main things all these coaches say, execution, execution, execution. You know, you usually have an airtight game plan. Most coaches feel like that. All right. If they're in a battle with a team that is comparable to them, whether it be talent, whether it be familiarity with the staff and the scheme that you're about to go against, a lot of coaches feel like their game plan is airtight. And then it turns that, oh, well, this play it would have been way better if the safety gets over top. You know, if we execute at the right level, then we wouldn't have given up that touchdown. You know, or if we blocked the defensive end, we had a slot wide receiver wide open, but you don't know that because you're watching it from the TV as opposed from the 22. You know, so I kind of get both sides of it as someone who was a part of media due to YouTube and someone, you know, who's working in the coaching ranks and working on getting in the coaching ranks full time. You know, I get both sides of it, but it's one of those things you got to be able to understand what you're stepping into. You got to understand that I have to take my deep breath and understand I'm representing an institution. I'm representing my entire program when I stand in front of these cameras and I'm speaking. You know, so you can't flip off the lid and go off on some media guy or girl just because you're mad about the outcome of the game. You got to be very careful. And it's not the easiest thing to do.
Anthony Manzano with a question for the Wholesome One. Since you, I believe that's supposed to be coached the trenches, when you look at Michael McLaughlin, what would your ideal weight for him be when he gets on campus if you were the offensive line coach?
Now, this is something that we spoke about before, Mark, when I was saying that the 6'7" 3-star.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
240 and he hits the weight room over quarantine, goes from 240 when he picked Miami. When he signed with Miami, he's 295. That's the young man that we're speaking about. I think Coach Feely will be able to get in there because some of that is going to be bad weight when you make that much gain in that amount of time, and especially a young man that can take a red shirt and reshape. But most offensive tackles, depending on your body makeup, can be anywhere from 308 to about 316, somewhere in there, sometimes 312. You know, you start creeping into the guards, you get to your 320s, 325, maybe 330. But that's really on the heavy end. Well, we play in the ACC coaster. And different body types are put together differently. I mean, you look at DJ Ulatulale, he's a QB and he's 250 pounds. You know, some people's genetics is just different. You look at DJ Skate from Miami. If you just look at that dude outside of, you wouldn't know that he's a football player. He's 6'3", 304 pounds, and it's ugh. But then you look at Greg Rousseau, who's 6'6", almost 6'7". He was 245, 250 for Miami when he plays. He goes to train with Chuck Smith, the pass rusher from the Atlanta Falcons, moves in and goes into his training regimen. He's pushing 270, 280 right now. You know, it depends on how long this young man has been in your strength and conditioning program, and where scheme-wise, position coach-wise, head coach-wise, a lot of those things, man. Some coaches want bigger players at certain positions. Look at Anthony Chickalo from the 2011 class who graduated in 2014. He signs with Miami at 235 pounds. The day he leaves Miami, before the last game versus South Carolina in December of 2014, he's almost pushing 300 pounds. There's no way in the world you could tell me that was good. But our strength and conditioning coach at that time had to put a weight on him. Why? Because we were running a stupid 3-4. And our head coach wanted their defensive ends at almost 300 pounds to hold gaps. Well, guess what? Mark Anthony Chickalo loses those 35 pounds in like 8 weeks. Just falls right off of him in time for the pro day and is now still in the NFL as an edge rusher. All right, so when it comes to ideal size, I think it is different based on the body makeup of the young men. But if we were to say, I want my offensive tackles anywhere from 6'5", 6'7", to about 310, somewhere in there. I think we're in the coaster, man. It's not the SEC or the Big Ten of 1996, where you got a big nose guard that has to be blown off the ball. I mean, shoot, there's some tackles who are like 287 right now, you know, who are lean and can kick and have great feet, great hands, can climb up to the next level, can run out there and chop safeties. So I think every player is situational based on it, and it's a different case.
We got the wholesome one here, folks, to talk Miami football for the next 45 minutes or so here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I'm going to ask that you like the video, head on over to the Wholesome Ones channel. If you've not subscribed, please do that. Of course, if you're just joining us, then once the video posts, go back and catch what you missed. But also share the videos out on social media, so understand that there are people out there that that are in contact with you on Twitter and Facebook that have no idea that the Wholesome One or myself have YouTube channels and talk college football just about every day. And so let them know. Share the videos on social media. All right. In regards to this quarterback situation with D'Eriq King being on the shelf right now, preparing for the upcoming season, how would you approach it in regards to if you're looking at a quarterback competition without D'Eriq King to try to figure out, okay, who's going to be the 2, who's going to be the 3, who's going to be the 4, but at the same time, monitoring D'Eriq King's health as you go through the summer and into August to see, is he actually going to be on the field against Alabama, and do we need to possibly change the offense or tweak it a little bit to prepare for another quarterback and his style of play, and what plays suit him better to be better prepared for week 1?
I don't think we have to change the offense, and here's why. You look at the offense with D'Eriq King, he's more of a balanced player. He isn't a pure option QB, and he also isn't a pure pocket passer. He's kind of balanced. I think everyone on our roster is similar. Jake Garcia, pretty similar. He can get, I wouldn't say get missing, but he can get you a key first down if need be. Peyton Matoka, who I really like as the QB that no one's really talking about. That's who I really want to get a chance. 6'3", 230, just was a state champion high jumper in the state of Florida. You know, like that dude got some bunnies, you know, and he's moving a little bit. Balance for the most part. TVD, more of your pure pocket passer. And he's kind of behind those other 2 in my evaluation, but that's just me. Those would be my 3. And I don't think you have to change, because you look at the difference of the offense when you had someone with an arm in N'Kosi Perry who hopped in to the Oak State game and the offense looked better. Because now we don't have to worry about throwing 5-10 yards. We can actually push the ball down the field, because a QB that can actually throw the ball down the field is in the game. Okay. I think you have something closer to that with Matoka as far as someone who can push the ball down the field. Tyler Van Dyke, pretty accurate. That's his calling card, is his accuracy. Now, Jake Garcia is somewhere in between that. He has a pretty solid arm, but he also has pretty solid accuracy. So he's more of a balanced guy right in between the 2. So I think with all 3 of those, the offenses, it can stay just the same. Now, instead of just focusing on the RPO and pulling and getting up the field, you may see more of that now route. You may see more of the slant call. You may see a little bit more of those gives as opposed to someone yanking it and trying to get up the football field. But it opens up the playbook a little more as far as the passing aspect of the game, and not it just being running the football and featuring a tight end, and maybe we can get the ball outside to the numbers if we try, which seemed to be the offense under D'Eriq King. It was like run Cam, run D'Eriq, posts or slants or seam to Brevin Jordan. And then maybe if we were able to get it to the outside, we can get the ball there, but our wide receivers are going to drop it if it's Pope or Wiggins. You know, you're dropping 1 out of every 4 passes, you got to go. All right, that's sickening. Okay. But now you put in some of those others, and instead of it being dive, it might be a run, but then instead of throwing that seam to the tight end, we may be able to throw that deep in. We may be able to throw the comeback. We may be able to throw the curl, because it's a little bit different arm talent as opposed to what those QBs bring to the table. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but as far as your game plan and how you can attack a defense, it'll be slightly different.
Got Anthony coming back in here with another question. Wholesome One, about recruiting. What corners do you want Miami to go after? For me, I want Kamari Rogers, Trey Fagans, and Denver Harris. We did talk a little recruiting last week when the Wholesome One finished up the 21 class. In terms of the 22 class, I think you have yet to really dig in on that one. But do you know about these particular players?
I know about everyone he's brought up, and I think that you want to also add not Surtain Jr., because he obviously went to Bama. Earl Little's son. But Earl Little's son doesn't play corner, but he's big on what we need to bring to the table in this upcoming recruiting class. All right. But I like what we're doing, and I also trust T-Rob. Now that we got the bartender out of there, I think things are going to go pretty well in the defensive back recruiting. And it won't just be safeties. Okay, we'll also get some corners. We'll get some striker recruiting going up. And it'll look a lot better for the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, like I always tell you, Mark, there's no way on God's green earth that a first rounder should have to answer to a bartender walk on about who should play corner at the University of Miami. It's just, But I do also understand the aspect from the coaching ranks is you can only hire the people that you know. And when you have a first-time head coach, Coach Manny Diaz, his wings or his wide net, as you will, is not as strong as some of the other candidates who could have taken the job. And so he had to hire from who he's known, and that's people that's either coached with him at La Tech, Mississippi State, over his time, NC State, over that time. So I kind of understood it. I just think that we've grown past it. We've learned from what we've done. And I'm hoping that he takes all of what he did, good and bad, brings it in and kind of takes it from me.
Wholesome One, we've talked about Manny Diaz developing as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of the record this season coming up in 21, what's going to be and what is that list of indicators that's going to show you that he's progressing as a head coach?
Preparation, Mark. What I mean by that is the last couple of seasons when Miami was on the football field with teams that were very similar to them in talent or exceeded their talent, or maybe not even talent-wise, but the coaching was so much higher than what Miami had, so it made up for the talent deficiencies. Miami didn't always look the best. All right. So there comes a point where the eye test is huge, okay? And for those of us who can analyze a game and really sit down and rewatch the film and break it down, there's a lot of little nuances that I want to see the Miami Hurricanes start to do differently. All right. Here's a couple of them. On defense, for years, we were so ultra aggressive in the front that if you broke contain, you could break for 60 yards on us. Well, that's something that has been a part of the Manny Diaz defense for a decade now. Even when he was at Texas, when he was at Mississippi State, okay, there comes times where if he gets to the QB and his defensive line gets pressure, he does very well. But if you're able to beat his defensive ends, if you're able to get outside of his outside linebackers, he gives up a lot of yardage. Learning how to convey the message of contain as a defense, and understanding that, yes, some defensive ends are meant to contain. That's what a lot of their play is. But if I have a defensive end who likes to cheat inside, a la Jalen Phillips, as a striker, as a linebacker, as a strong safety, I need to be able to make him right. If I know he's peeking inside, I need to shoot outside. I need to get to that C gap and maybe even sneak a little bit outside to the D gap to overcompensate for it and force that back to bounce it back into my help. Okay, but you got to be able to teach the young men that. You got to be able to get them to react that fast, know each other, build that chemistry on the football field. Okay, now some of that is outside of coaching, some of it is experience, but they usually work together and how you attack teams offensively and defensively. All right, but having an upgrade in coaches is what's also going to help that. If I go out and bring in better coaches, then I would expect my team to be more prepared, better prepared, right? Which means these young men are not going to go out there on the football field like it's NCAA and they got 60 overall awareness, all right? Anyone who's played the game, and I love to do this comparison because a lot of people play the NCAA football game, whether it's college football revamped or the old school NCAA 14. You could have a player on your team, he's really good. But if you go in and change one attribute, speed is one of them, okay, strength is another, acceleration is another, man coverage, catching, all that stuff. If you give them a 90-plus awareness, it changes completely how the player plays. Okay, that awareness means when you know what's going on the football field, not just play recognition. Play recognition is something else. All right, I know they're in cover 3, so I know what I can get against them. I'm going to wait for that strong safety to come down to alley flat. I'm going to throw that slant. They're in cover 2. All right, I know I'm going to go ahead and give me a curl on one side. I'm going to put my number 2, my inside player on a seam. The safety is going to be one high, one-on-one with the safety, so I'm going to have to beam the ball, one-on-one with the slot. That corner is going to try to jump that out route, and if I do a quick curl with my running back right in front of that linebacker, it's wide open. Just beam the ball, nobody's going to be there. All right? If I'm in man, I'm doing curls and slants. All right? That's play recognition. That's you understanding what's happening in front of you. But if a player has high awareness, not only do they realize the play, but they understand people coming in for chop blocks. They understand if I'm coming scot-free as a defensive tackle, it must be a screen because I'm not that good. Okay, they understand when somebody steps down, they're reading me, no one's blocking me. I need to make sure I understand what's going on in front of me. All these type of things happen with awareness. How does that help you in real life? That's from coaching, okay? You trust your coaches. You trust the game plan. You understand who you're going up against this week, all right? That gives you that confidence, but you have awareness of what's going on in front of you. So that's one of the things that I want to see from Coach Manny Diaz moving forward. How does his team play 4 quarters of football, maybe 5 required in overtime, 4 or 5 quarters of football against teams that are comparable to them in talent or even teams that are better than them in talent, okay? How do you come out and play against them? And I saw some really good things. First half against Clemson, pretty solid, okay? One of the better things that you could ask for. The whole game against North Carolina was trash, you know? How the offense played versus NC State. How the defense played against, UAB and Virginia, teams like that, all right? We were rarely able to put it together as a whole, except for Duke, but at the same time, Duke is pitiful. All right, Tallahassee has been pitiful the last couple of years. Their program is not up to snuff. How does Coach Manny Diaz and this team put it together? You know, not saying you have to have it airtight. Don't give up no points. Score 100 points every single game. Yeah, go Canes. That's not what I'm saying. Does the team look prepared? Okay. Are they not energetic and aggressive just because it's a rivalry football game and it's the first half? No. I want to see that same level of intensity, third and fourth quarter. First, second, third, fourth quarter. I want to see the same attention to detail, first, second, third, fourth quarter. I want us to be able to see adjustments, offensive and defensively, mid-second quarter. Don't have to wait till halftime to make our adjustments. All right. As a staff, we should be able to see something from upstairs. Hey, coach, you may want to watch out for this. Coach, we haven't been addressing that wheel route, coach. We haven't been addressing that corner blitz. We've been getting kind of lucky. All these little things you just want to start seeing as the program builds. So that's where my mind is, man. I really want to see this team and this program start to look like a well-oiled machine. All right. And I think we're on our way to that.
The Wholesome One here, talking Miami football here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. The Wholesome One, of course, has his own YouTube channel, and I would encourage everybody to head on over there and to subscribe. So HOLSUM and the number 1, subscribe to his YouTube channel. Give him some likes over there. Watch the live streams. Watch the breakdowns. And, of course, check out the videos. And, again, support him over there. You've definitely picked up a fan in the Rod Farva here, Wholesome One. He says, the Wholesome One's become my favorite one of Mark's guests, and he's dropping down some serious wisdom. So some good stuff there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's humbling. That's humbling. Thank you so much.
Yes, Ronan, we're having some issues with the lighting right now. I did not anticipate.
Yeah, I had to roll over, man. I'm looking crazy.
I didn't anticipate this, and the afternoon sunset is bam, just, and I really can't do anything with it the way we've got things set up right now. But
it's okay. I prefer this weather, Mark. We were negative 51 last week, so
yeah,
I'm happy for 12 degrees. Okay.
You're happy with 12 right now. Are we looking at 12 right now? For you?
Mm-hmm.
Really? So you're still in the deep freeze.
That's okay. You get used to it.
Yeah. We're typically in that 25 range for most of the winter, but the last few days have been more like it hit 51 yesterday. It was like 45 today. And it's been nice and sunny, blue skies. So pretty good here in Connecticut at this point. All right, Wholesome One, I'm going to hit you with this. The three main backs. You got Harris, Cheney, and Knighton. Who does what well? Who should be used in what situations and in what style? Break them down from a technical standpoint and in regards to how the play calling should take advantage of their skill sets.
Wow, that's a great question. Mark, I try to make sure I watch as much Miami content on your channel. I mean, you got some of those other people that I'm sorry will never get a view from me, but I like the Ohio State channel sometimes too, man. Those guys know some ball. Goodness gracious, they can break it down. Shout out to OHIO. Wow, these three backs, four if you that Franklin, if he stays with Miami, but we'll see with that. He kind of gets in his feelings a lot. I think it's this conversation, all right, Mark, about Donald Cheney Jr. being RB1. Everyone keeps saying this. Mark, my question is, what has Cam Harris done to lose his job? What has he done? Has he fumbled? He has one career fumble in his career. Okay. Does he drop the football? According to Pro Football Focus, only 4 drops in his career. Is he a bad pass protector in the pocket? Nope. According to Pro Football Focus, he has the highest pass blocking grade on the team besides Brevin Jordan, who was our tight end, non-offensive line. Any other things that a running back could do to lose their job? Probably not. If you can't pass protect, if you fumble and you can't catch, those may be 3 things as the reason why you should get your job pulled. He does none of those things. So as far as to lose his job. Now, I understand the 2 underclassmen may be playing very good, all right? And I'm not here to knock any of them. I'm very happy that they all are Canes, and we can move forward with that. But here's my thing. Why do we want to take away from one to feed the other? We could just split and let them all go. Let them all come in situationally and do their thing well. To have a 3 stable back system is amazing, okay? Because one of them doesn't get beat up all game long, then the other ones hop in on 3rd down and catch some screens and screen passes, like we had the first half of last season. I think Cam Harris is a balanced back. Don Cheney is a balanced back, but Jalen Knighton is a little bit more of the scat back, the guy that can get missing for 80 yards on you, okay? Now, all 3 of them can be used in different facets, but you don't want to get to the point where you know the play based on the back that is in the game. That is a huge thing with film as a defensive guy. When you sit and watch, you're like, okay, when 4 gets in the game, it's either a toss or a screen. When 2 gets in the game, it's either a read option or just pure dive. But when 23 is in the game, we never know. All right. You don't want to get to a point where somebody can identify that in your offense. So you should be able to call a multitude of plays, a multitude of formations with all 3 of these backs is what they bring to the table for the Miami Hurricanes. Now, based on your scheme, this is where the problem lies. Cam Harris comes in the game, and Mark, we're running 20 dive, 21 dive. We'll just give him the ball and run right up into the gut and expect him to break 60 yards. But then you bring Jalen Knighton and Donald Cheney in. Now you got an H-jet read option. Now you got a split back triple option. Now you got one motioning to the other side. You throw it to him on the screen. All this fancy stuff when they get in the game. When Cam's in the game, we just run dive. But then we turn around and blame Cam. Why isn't Cam getting all this? I wonder why. Because when you get in the game, you call 22 and 23 die for the man. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's been something I've kind of kept my mouth shut because I don't want to come off as bashing any of these young men because they don't deserve that type of energy. But I'm just tired of people just crowning another player when the one who's been the starter has done nothing wrong to lose his job. You know? Now, when we start talking about wide receivers, I understand Pope and Wiggins should be holding water. Okay, because they can't catch. Until proven otherwise, they cannot catch a NCAA-sized football. That's just that. But Cam Harris has done nothing to be disrespected and treated the way that he is by this fan base. He's done nothing, in my opinion, honestly. Now, as far as what they all can bring to the table, like I said, Cam and Chaney are pretty similar. Now, Coach, listen, Chaney, size, speed, aggression does not go down easily. All right. When he gets his body a little bit more reshaped because he came in with a little bit of a bad fat, and he's had a good change in body type just from his small time with Coach Felix. So I can only imagine now with a calendar year. Cam Harris shirtless is what you want every running back to look like. A muscle bulldog, the man neck, Cam, the man neck, Mark, he probably can't even turn his head to see people on the side of him. He is so swole, man. And Knighton, he can get missing or he can also run you over. I mean, he was a fourth-rate running back in the country for a reason. And thank God he switched to us and didn't stick to Tallahassee. You know, that's how I think about it. We have to stop doing that, okay? Every single recruit that comes in doesn't have to come in and steal reps from the person in front of them, all right? And then every starter who may have had a tough season or a tough group isn't the worst player in the world and pull them off and kick them and pull a stolly until given a nice sample size. We need to be able to be careful on our critique of collegiate players. Now, like I said, you got a couple players that's been doing this for a while. Bad. Okay, you're giving me 2 whole seasons of bad play. The critique can come. It'll be a little different. All right, but Mark, I'm going to keep saying this. He has done nothing to lose his job. Absolutely nothing wrong.
So that evaluation holds even if you've got a player, regardless of the position, you got a player who is a talented player. Again, doesn't make the mistakes that you just outlined. And again, that doesn't mean he's perfect. That doesn't mean he's never fumbled or never dropped a pass. But yeah, he's extremely reliable, carries out his assignments, is a talented player. We're not talking about a guy that's just marginal in terms of talent. But then you bring in somebody, you recruit and sign somebody who's potentially a superstar. I'm not saying this is the case, but I'm saying in terms of a player that's done all the right things and been reliable in their job, in your opinion, if you're running the operation and making those decisions, can they lose the job if you sign a player who is and has shown to be a better player?
Yes. That comes from the evaluation process throughout the season, which we saw last season, where towards the middle and to the end, Cam got his job back. But you also, some coaches do little things like that to light a fire under a player. How do you respond to me starting the young buck this one game? How do you take to that? Are you on the sideline moping? Are you not doing your job? Are you not giving the high effort? Because now you see how mentally weak some players can be in that aspect. But if you've been around for a while and you recruited this young man, all right, you should know this young man in and out. You should know what makes him tick. You should know what makes him click. You should know what makes him want to go out there and play. And you should also know what I can do that can really hurt and bring and demean this young man in his spirits, all right? You have to know that as a position coach. So when you go out there and you make a decision like that, let's look back to 2012, all right? There's a back, number 5, Mike James, starts for the Miami Hurricanes. the Miami Hurricanes signed a borderline 5-star athlete by the name of Randy Duke Johnson from Miami North. He comes in. Duke doesn't start a game that season. Who had more rushing yards? Mike James. Who had more touchdowns? Mike James. Okay. But Duke was able to come in and be that big-time scat back, punt kick return. He was able to play his role in the offense as the second to the starting back. Now, it's different. One was a senior, one was a true freshman. Now you have one where one's going to come back for a senior season. These other ones are going to be sophomores. Due to COVID, one's a junior and one's a freshman again. The other two. All right. But experience-wise, they're 4-year and second-year player going in. The best thing you want to be able to do is to keep them all happy. But at a position like running back, Mark, just because you start doesn't mean you end up with the most carries of the game. It's not like QB or middle linebacker where you kind of want them to stay in the game and get a flow of the game and get a feel of it and go through the whole 60 minutes with majority of the snaps. At QB, all the snaps, praise be the healthiness, of the player. At running back, you get hit from all type of angles. You want to be able to get a lot of them to play. You want all three of those backs to touch the ball in some way, shape, form, or fashion in that 60-minute time span. So when it comes to running back, Mark, to answer your question, yes, a player who happens to be really really good can come in and take another player's starting spot. But I would make sure I stress to them, who starts doesn't really matter. It's about the snap count. It's about me putting you in the best position to not only help yourself, but to help this team win football games. And if we split everybody 33 and a third across those three, for a fact you have to do the best that you possibly can with your 8, 9, 10, 15 carries. I expect you to be out there pulling people, ripping and huddling, and you're doing anything to take advantage of 100% of your 15 snaps or 15 carries you get as a back. So I love the problem that we have. I hope that it continues to push the young men. And Coach Hickson has done a great job. Coach Hickson is our running backs coach. He's done a great job of motivating the young men. Okay, even when Cam had this issue on social media, he had a way of pulling them in, talking to them, brought him in the office, a coordinator's office. They sat down and spoke. And all three of them went to sit down to Coach Diaz and make sure everything was okay. Make sure we're on the same page here. We love you. We want you to be a part of the team. These two young men are playing well. So we're going to give them carries. It was no beef. There was no issue. All right. But we have fans who come on here and disrespect Cam. I don't think that he deserves any of that energy for being an older player who, didn't have a problem with allowing them to, he didn't have any problems with helping them. He didn't have any problems with them getting reps. He just wanted the same play calls as the other ones. That's the only issue that it was. And we got it fixed. And he ended up doing really well in the second half of the season. So, fans, let's be careful, man. Cam Harris has done nothing but love this institution. We should stand by him.
And that's the reason I asked the follow-up. I'm not saying that was the case, but I was asking the follow-up to say, is Cam Harris a certain level player that's done nothing wrong, done all the right things, been reliable, but a certain level player? And maybe is the coaching staff evaluating Donald Chaney to be just another level player, that they're going for the more talented player?
Mm-hmm. And that may be true. As far as what we've seen on Saturdays, there's a little difference between the two as far as the effort and how they run and, that kind of get missing speed. It's a little difference between the two, but that's us from afar evaluating. These coaches see it every day. I just ask that it be fair. I just ask that if we're going to split these reps, don't just pull 100% of the reps from one because you want to see the two new shiny toys. Let's not do that, okay? Let's be very good in our evaluation. I think we had that issue midway through the season, but it got fixed as the season went on. And then also, unfortunately, due to Jalen Knighton's shoulder injury / concussions, he wasn't able to play the last couple of games, and that played a big role in it.
And Anthony Manzano is scratching and clawing and doing everything he possibly can to get this question posted and asked, because he's put it up there about 50 times. So, Anthony, thank you for the persistence. Wholesome, with us having Coach Ishmael, do we move Coach Pacquiao back to permanently coaching linebackers with him and then hire special teams coach or coordinator?
No, we still only had one spot. So all we did was hire Coach Ismail and move Coach Pacquiao over to linebacker. That's all we did. It wasn't there wasn't a big difference. Okay. All we did was just move one over. That's it.
There you go.
And Mark, I tell you this much. I got a little extra time today. I don't know if you do. I know you got a busy schedule. But we talk about
6 to 8 minutes. Keep going.
We talk about a couple of these coaches who deserve a pat on the back, and Jonathan Pacquiao is one of them. Here's why. This is a very young coach. I think he's like 33, maybe even younger than that. All right. And the coaching ranks, that's like, you're still a pup to some of those like 70-year-old coaches, you know. And I'm 24 and I'm calling a 30-year-old guy young. Anyway, you look at what he has done here at Miami as far as in the recruitment of the Australian punter we have, Lou Hedley. Coach Pacquiao led the forward with that and got him to come here. With him, Coach Pacquiao and Coach Pop Cooney in communication with who was in the transfer portal at the time, goes on to win the best kicker in the world, Jose Borregales. Okay. Then you also look at what the striker position over the last 2 seasons has, the growth of striker at Miami. That's all Coach Pacquiao and his assistants for special teams, which are GAs and QCs that are helping him on with the special teams margin of it. Coach Jonathan Pacquiao deserves some much needed applause and great work for what he's done. The development at striker is huge. When Romeo Finley came in, he did well in 2018. Then there was a drop off in 2019 to a certain extent with Gilbert Frierson. All right, but then in 2020, Gilbert Frierson was my team MVP based on my evaluation as far as what he did, being able to tackle an open field, being able to cover the alley fast, being able to cover running backs and tight ends. You talk about him being put on a lot of players. We made some adjustments, Mark. If your best player happened to be in the box, we put Gilbert Frierson on you. At first, let's look at Clemson, okay? The first half of the Clemson game, we had a linebacker on their running back, Etienne, and he breaks off that big one right before halftime. Okay, the second half of the game, we put Gilbert Frierson on him, and I wouldn't say he blanked him, but it was a completely different outcome and the result of how he was taking over the game. Okay, at running back. We played, who was the tight end we played? Virginia's tight end, who was giving us fits at first, all right? We had a linebacker on him. What do we do the second half? Gilbert Frierson goes on him. The second half, he has 1 reception for 3 yards for the rest of the game. Pittsburgh, their tight end and slot was giving us problems. Depending on where they lined up, we put Gilbert Frierson on him, and he was able to hold it down. Okay, so what I'm saying is, you had a coach who was able to take a former corner in high school, moved to safety in college, and then got over time realized he wasn't no too high safety, moving down the striker, and is developing him in a brand new system, brand new position at Miami. Keontre Smith was a middle linebacker in high school, coming here to play safety because he's 5'10", but then he gets moved over to striker, and he's almost just as good as Gilbert Frierson. Then we go out and recruit number 41, Chase Smith, who was a wide receiver, free safety, cornerback, huge athlete. Now we're able to identify them, recruit them, and then bring them in to fit this position to be coached under Coach Pacquiao. So him moving to linebacker, I'm very intrigued to see how it works out for Miami, because what he's done on special teams, recruiting and on-field success, what he's done at striker, recruiting and on-field success, is big time. So he's the spotlight of the week for the host one goes to Coach Jonathan Pacquiao. Last week was the Miami-Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach County high school coaches that I'm really pushing for them to start getting college coaching jobs. That was last week, whether it's at UCF, USF, FIU, FAU, Miami, Tallahassee, Florida, any one of them. Let's start giving our in-state coaches a chance. I don't know if an AD will ever come across this video, but if they do, please look at home. And we're developing and really growing some great young men in high school ranks they deserve a chance to take it to even another level at the collegiate ranks.
As the banner mentions there, we're on Patreon. So you got basically 3 reasons to join us on Patreon. One would be that you get watch parties, exclusive live streams, my predictions, college football, insider look, all that business. Number 2 is you get to request content and make recommendations, and you get a voice. And I'm big on that as the voice of college football, that we all have a voice, and therefore I listen to your requests and recommendations on the channel and everything else. And number 3, there is a host of people over there that just say, Mark, we don't care what you do. We're just going to support anyway. That's why we're over here, is just to support you. So I thank you for that. So consider Patreon. You grab the link in the description section where it says Patreon. And again, one more time, head on over to the Wholesome Ones channel, check out the videos, subscribe over there. You can see the obvious football knowledge, the breakdown, the investment into Miami football. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And that's why I invite him back here every week. And he's got a clean and blank slate to come over here anytime he wants to talk football. He knows that. Wholesome One, we appreciate it. We hope you're having a good week and have a great weekend. And we know you got a lot going on. So I always appreciate you making time for us.
No problem. It's always a great opportunity to be here, speak about the Miami Hurricanes for as long as I can before I'm contractually obligated to not do it, as we climb the ranks here and growing as a person. So, hey, I appreciate each and every one of you. It's always a great opportunity to speak to you all. I love it here. I love being on YouTube. And, go ahead and follow me, like Marcus said, Host One Holloway, HOLSUM, the number 1. That is also on Twitter. I saw someone ask for my Twitter handle. Just go ahead and hop on there. And I don't always follow everybody back because I have to be careful now, as an adult. I got to be kind of careful following people back. They look at all that stuff. So you got to be careful when you're putting out resumes. They ask for your Twitter handle. And it doesn't always bowl over too well with a lot of other colleges, and all they see is this all over my Twitter. But for right now, I'm going to enjoy it while I can. I love you all. Appreciate it. As always, go Canes.
Ricardo, thank you so much for continuing to post this comment. I appreciate you asking me, but I do not get into NFL mock drafts. I love the NFL draft itself. I do not follow anybody's NFL mock drafts. Mel Kiper, I've got all the respect in the world for Mel Kiper and for Todd McShay, and certainly not just Mel Kiper's football knowledge, but his ability to build a cottage industry. Basically, the industry exists to a large extent because of Mel Kiper, but I do not follow mock drafts. I do love the NFL draft. Of course, I'm a big NFL fan, as well as doing what I do here with college football, but I do not follow mock drafts. Appreciate everybody here in the live chat. Stay right here on this channel. Stay right here. We got Florida State Seminoles live coming up in just about 5 minutes. So lock it on in here. And then at 7:30 p.m., Clemson Tigers live. So we're talking Florida State for an hour, Clemson at 7:30. See you soon.